Hey everybody, welcome to episode 117 of Tactical Crouch. Kickedtripod here with Yiska and Volamel, back to a normal show. No surprise guests popping in last minute, making me have to go through digging through all the old stuff. That's why I hold on to those, by the way. That's why you hold on to all the old assets, because you never know when a guest is going to come on and you're going to need it.
Very true.
And also make sure to name them. Don't just name them like new window. Be like
Preach.
like Christopher 4cam large scene. Keep them consistent.
You don't know how much I'd love for that to just be scream to the heavens right now. We're on the same brain wavelength, John. I agree.
You know what happens to me? Okay, I'm kind of revealing myself to be a file hoarder, but like when you sent me the assets for Tactical Crouch, I put them on my desktop, and then I forgot about them, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm not going to make it to the show." And I'm like, "Got that stuff all set up," and then I look, and of course the files aren't where they are because they're in my trash from March 2019 folder. That is in my trash from April 2020 folder, and then I have to start hunting for the file names, and I better remember what they're called. Otherwise, I'm looking for a long time.
Jeez, you've over-organized your trash.
Yeah, imagine organizing your trash by like months. Just throw it in the trash.
Yeah. You don't know what thumbnails do to your data files. It's insane, especially if you got to do it for other people as well. And there's like 20 thumbnails and pictures every day, and it's like, where do you leave them? And it's like even the order of operation doesn't always work because people, like, if you take date modifieds, then some people just download it from overwatchleague.com and never have like modified the thing, so it's like 2017 pictures, and it's just like, come on, man, I'm just trying to find this picture, bro. Like, oh, it's so terrible.
It's rough. Man, the woes. Let's just go back to before computers.
True.
You want to organize something? Here's a piece of paper. Put it in your two glued together pieces of paper called a folder, and put those glued together pieces of paper, the folder, into 6 glued together pieces of paper, that thicker piece of paper called a box. And then hope that you live in a time where they had the fire resistant boxes so that your things could potentially, hopefully, stay safe. And man, we've come a long way. We've come a long way, haven't we?
It's true.
Oh, man. Well, anyways, welcome to 117. We're going to do something as promised on this show. We have, and many of you have brought this up, we've neglected the Asia region over the past couple of weeks. Not intentionally, just it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And so we're going to go back and visit it today. Talk about some of the Asia results and just kind of the overall state of the Asia region today. On Wednesday, we're going to have a special guest on the show. Reinforce is coming on the show on Wednesday. And that's going to be a ton of fun. And then we're going to hang out in Discord this weekend and watch games. So, yeah. Cool. Other than that, let's get into it all. Big thank you to our patron producers. Most of you, anyway. Here we go. Battlecrap in, Lolshin, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Porkshot, Sammy, Kasha67, Kushikopi, Shara, Picasso, Nathan Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Refine Bean, Rex Zane, Roger B, Fabled Steven, Owen, Chris R3444. Yiska is holding me hostage. Please send help. I'm under Yiska's desk. Please send help. Yiska says, Fishers, Fritch, Fished, Frisha, Frish. That was close.
Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad.
Close. I got an applause. I got
Solid
applause
8 out of
from
10.
Yiska. I'll take
8
it.
out of 10.
I'll take it. Jeez.
Well done.
They're learning. They're listening.
Keep
Continue,
piling
my
on,
children.
by the way.
Continue, my children.
And I made sure I saw this, but I didn't practice it. I didn't practice that one. I asked Yiska about the pronunciation of one of the words, and I think that was it.
Yep.
Yep.
And it's hard. This is for those that don't know, this is a German tongue twister. That would be very hard for me to pronounce, even if it wasn't at the end of a.
Will you try it?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fischers Fritze fischt frische Fische. Fische. Frische
See,
Fische.
I don't even know if that's right. You just
I got it wrong twice if you want to ask.
Frische.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. Fair enough. Well, thank you all again to our patron producers. If you like the show, want to support, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. All those names we just read are our patron producers, people who have supported the show so incredibly with their finances that we thank them every show, but we really do appreciate every single person who listens, watches, whatever, donates, subscribes, those Twitch Prime subs, patron producers. We love you all. So thanks. Keep it up. And Joe, your camera has become increasingly haunted over the past 2 months.
It's getting a little spooky. Every time I shift, I'm a shifter. My posture's bad.
I mean, look at the curtain. Oh, what's going on at the curtain there?
I just have my window open because it is hot.
It's a ghost.
It's the Chengdu ghost.
Bob's
gonna get ghost off bad dives. There you go.
Here's what I want to do. And this is the wrong month, I already know. So I want to go through and I want to talk about the boom, and then we need to hide this. There we go. Let's talk about the Summer Showdown from the Asia bracket side, because we didn't get to discuss that. We'll do kind of what we did before. We'll start with the quarterfinals, go to the semifinals, and then go to the finals. And then we've just got some broader topics we want to discuss after that. So, is there really anything? So, Seoul Dynasty defeat London 3-1. About as expected as I think any of these matches were. Guangzhou defeats Chengdu 3-0.
Yep.
Chengdu have only won 2 of their last 14 matches. Did you know that?
Yep. Now they're looking for a new coach.
6 of them have been 0-3 sweeps or 3-0 sweeps. They've been swept 6 of their last 14 games.
Yep. Just
any thoughts on Chengdu? They also defeat Shanghai in week 2, 3-0.
I mean, again, week 2, we're on week 20 something. It's team's just I think we've given up at this point.
How about that leaf though?
I do think that that's the thing, there's such a mess, you don't know exactly what to think. Is he doing that poorly? Is it the pieces around him? Is it him? Is it the coaching? Is it the direction? I don't know. Individually, it doesn't look like he's performing that bad. If anything, they've individually kind of stepped up a little bit. For some of the members, I won't speak for all of them, but I've noticed Bacon Jack a lot more, kind of coming into his own on the hit scan role. Leave, again, doesn't look terrible. Not the person that we were promised, but what can you expect after somebody who's kind of taken such a long hiatus? I think they've checked out for 2020, and we'll have to reconvene with the Hunters in 2021 because,
what happened?
That's the thing. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if it really is the coaching staff. It's hard to tell if it's the pieces. It's hard to tell if they really didn't adapt to hero pools and it's just a snowball down the hill. Where do you start? There's no good starting point to this. I don't think.
Where would they be with Ray?
I genuinely don't know. That's the thing. I genuinely couldn't tell. I think they'd be better off But I think they do
Sad
better than
Joe.
London, maybe.
Hey,
Sad
hey,
Chengdu
where
Joe.
the people at that told me like I was stupid for saying Chengdu was the worst team in the
Yeah.
Asian region
Yeah.
and Shanghai was by far the best, and I got massively downvoted and like called a moron for that clearly not being the case when I told them that Chengdu was the worst strategical team in the Overwatch League. Where are you at now? Where are you at now?
Yiska, you know
that's all that.
You know, people mostly called you out because
You're being such a bummer.
you were being big
Well,
bum.
you gotta hear it
boy.
now.
You were being big
You gotta
bum
hear
bum.
it now.
And
And here's the thing: they got mighty lucky in that victory anyway against Shanghai back in the day. I still remain like I appreciate that it is very intransparent to see the regular level of Shanghai when you don't have access to scrims or like people to talk to about it. But that was always the case. There was always like that level of confusion going on that team. And the fact that they had better results at the start is merely down to other teams also playing like Garbo most of the time, right? I think like to a degree, the idea of if everyone's just off meta picking or like the metas change regularly, then the Hunter style of playing off meta is not as strong applies. I also think they are not good at finding their own identity anymore in these metas, which is probably down to Ray missing from this team. But also the individual pieces is just, I don't know, like, yeah, they have some good guys on there still. And I still think that this team should probably be much better than their like results suggest based on pound for pound comparisons. Then again, and we can't underestimate that, they are in the strongest region quite clearly. I think like if they,
would
for
you say
instance,
right now or just in general?
they're like the problem is their weakest opponent is London Spitfire, correct?
Yeah.
London Spitfire would probably still have reliably beaten, let's say, at least at bottom 4 in NA. And they weren't able to farm any easy wins, which probably significantly contributed to their current season score. I think they'd probably be around Houston level, I would think.
London? Yeah, I would say so. I get that feeling.
Hunters possibly as well.
I don't know.
I mean, especially like it depends on when they get their matches.
Yeah.
But like for instance, if they had more matches in the NA region early in the season when everyone was still like
I think
squads,
they probably sneak in some extra wins for sure.
Yeah.
But like right now, does like in the previous metagame, I know we have a new hero pool, but we're still kind of reviewing the Summer Showdown here. If you were to take the Chengdu Hunters and put them against the Washington Justice, who wins? I think it's the Justice every day of the week.
Yeah.
I don't think it's close.
Now that's the case, yeah. But I'm not sure.
But that's just that meta. If we generalize it, what does that look like? I don't know. I think they're probably bottom 5 team globally.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Because they don't spike. And when we have kind of like given them an out and saying, oh, maybe you can play this double shield. Nope. Can't do that either. Somehow a 18 comes in. Somehow they still don't. I don't know. It's just a different team. It's completely different. I think the easy way out is saying like, oh, they haven't found their identity. And I do think that has a lot of like merit to it. But it just feels so blah. It like doesn't feel like a good explanation of what's really going on. I think it's probably a multi-layered Swiss cheese of a team. I think morale's probably out the window. I think like the weird rosters that they put in probably have to do a lot with that, where like they're getting beat up on social media from my understanding. I don't know. This team probably is going to be blown up. And if I don't know that you can save this team right now. Like at first glance, you're like, oh, maybe like a Korean injection might work, but it's not always the case.
Who do you keep?
Who do you keep? Probably Jinmu, leave. I don't hate Elsa.
This man just said leave again. Oh, okay, keep going.
But that's the thing is like, it depends. I guess it depends on like what you want the team to be in the future. Like, do you want this team to be continue to be a Chinese team?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or do you want it to be something different? Like Leave has that has the personality almost around him. Not to say that he like I won't comment on knowing him personally or like knowing his personality, but it's the idea of like a big name. Leave is a big name. Leave's like somebody that people can latch onto. And he's not a bad player. He's not fantastic. He's not blowing your socks off. But I don't know if that's because of him or the team or the coaching or hero pools. I don't know. It's tough to say. Has been underwhelming for the most part, like season wide. He's grown a little bit, but underwhelming. Jinmu, Elsa, I like Molly. I like Yvettel, but what else do you do with this team unless you're like shelling out big bucks and you want to keep this team? You can make a fully Chinese team and it would be good, but you have to spend money. You have to spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to get Gusha?
Yeah.
Pay up.
You're paying.
You're paying. You're paying a lot.
Want to get Eileen?
You're paying. You're paying a lot.
Yeah. You want to get Shy?
Yeah. Have fun. You're paying. And again, like that team is good. That you can build a good fully Chinese team. I have questions around the coaching staff, but you could do it. It's just hard.
So do you think then, because this, and again, you both know that when it comes to like the Asia region post Contenders season 2 China, basically, I'm basically ignorant, right? So is this one of those things though where, because what I just heard from you, Joe, is that there's a lot of players on the roster you like, or that you think are fine. Which, to be fair, it's a big roster. Yeah. Is it 12? 11. Looks like it's 11.
11, yeah.
So 11 with a lot of dead weight.
Really close. So about half, though, means that you like 5 to 6 of them. Yeah. Which is enough for like a core squad. Do you think that this team would benefit more from getting a really great coaching staff instead of, and I'm not saying it's not, I'm just trying to understand more, benefit more from like a coaching style change versus a let's bring in new, fresh outside player talent change?
That's a tough question because on its face, you'd want to, I think you'd want that. You'd want to kind of come in and say, okay, we're going to add a lot of structure to this, or we're just going to completely like, what do you guys want to do? Let's figure out a way to do it and kind of try to salvage the last bit of the season. I think in the long run, though, it's tough. It's really, really hard because I think there is a question when it comes to main tank. I kind of hoped A-Ting was going to come in. He looked okay in Contenders, but it's one of those cases where you look okay in Contenders, you come down, then what? You don't really perform all that well. That's that kind of feeling. They haven't really played him. I mean, they've played him, but it's not consistent. And that's the thing that feels missing with this roster, where like you start at the season, they seem to be like up to their old tricks. They're pulling people down. They're playing their style. They're doing all this crazy stuff that nobody else is doing. It's catching people off and it's working. Somehow they've gotten away from that. I don't know why, but they've gotten away from it. They're playing this old tired style and it just doesn't work. The pieces that they have don't work for it. This roster was not built to do that. And if that's what you want to do, you have to rebuild the roster first. If you bring in a coach that has similar ideals and can see that within this roster, you can continue to go back to the same old Chengdu style and play very comfortable picks and play just like cheesy comps in a way to try and just sneak in some extra wins to like not make the season so painful. But I don't see a world where like at the end of 2020, this roster like looks the same again. I think there's going to be a lot of changes. There has to be. And I think it's tough It's a question of like long term versus short term. Do I want to fix the team right now, or do I want to like give somebody the reins for 2021? And I think I want to give the reins to 2021. I think the season you're gonna spend a lot of money for like you're basically trying to replicate like in a lesser degree Shanghai season 1. Like you're off to a really bad start. So here's like a shot in the arm. Hope it does you some well. Look how that turned out. Didn't work. Obviously not like the best players ever, but I don't think that that's going to work with the Hunters either. I don't think that's going to fit. I will say I wouldn't be surprised if they imported like a Korean main tank that's like somewhat promising. But yeah, I probably would go coach. Long answer, probably coaching staff.
Jakpang time.
Not a terrible shout. Not a terrible shout. I don't think too many people are eyeing him, even though I think they should. I don't think he got like a fair shake in the Overwatch League. I think people are like very like left bittered, kind of just had like that sour taste in your mouth by like, oh well, he sucked an owl. So then you look at his contenders resume and you're like, oh well, if you put him on a team that's going to succeed or built to succeed, that's what you get. So I think he is talented. I think Yakpung wouldn't be a terrible shout, but is he going to work in a multilingual roster again? I don't know. That's the weird fit. Like you have to rebuild the whole thing from that idea up. If you're going to go mixed, does every player buy into the mixed roster? Even if they say they do they really? That's not a question you can very easily answer. So it's like, do they stay Chinese? Do they kind of go mixed? There's not a ton of Chinese talent coming up in tier 2. There's some, but how do you make that work? I think you have to have a coach that has like a specific like idea in mind, and it has to be rebuilt around that idea. Because Ray built this team with an idea, and it's different now.
Cool. Let's circle back to the showdown. And let's go to the semifinals here. So the Shanghai Dragons 3-0 Seoul. So we didn't get the rematch of the grand finals that we were looking for from last month, but Guangzhou does sweep NYXL here, and that is kind of.
Can we talk about the Spark beforehand, because we kind of skipped over NYXL Spark, right?
Is there something there?
I think we talk about Spark and how disappointing they are.
Yeah, what is going on, man? Like they looked so good, especially like in Genji metas initially. Like what happened? Like Architect should theoretically fill that gap very well. Now, of course, you got to consider this wasn't a dive meta, but that shouldn't really matter that much, should it? Like it's a. I mean, you could talk about them not having a good Sigma, possibly. But the rest is like, it shouldn't be a 3-0 to a fairly. Maybe it's also a brick problem.
Could be
of not being able to control aggressive Genjis. But come on, man, this should have been a great match. I
have a theory that you've kind of like sowed in my head now, that this feels like a giant cluster of a team. And what I mean by that is I think morale in this team is at like an all-time low, and they're like, okay, let's just, I don't know, couldn't tell you. But when you
Joel's
have
waxing again.
Yeah. We're reading the tea leaves.
How lazy are they?
I don't think they're lazy. I think they're trying to figure out like what they're supposed to do in this COVID hero pools world. When you look at their melee performance, the big takeaway that I had is that they lacked action. So they were completely inactive on every map. They didn't do anything. If we're going to call anything lazy, their play in the melee was lazy. They didn't do anything. They just kind of walked up, got poked, and then just stopped. They didn't do anything. This performance, however, is completely opposite. They took the lesson and then like went too far with it. Now they were just like inting. Like they were going in. So I wonder if you're onto something with the Brig where they're trying to invest Brig more into like winning tank duels than trying to deal with the Genji. Because if you can just like steamroll the front line, you can deal with the Genji later. I think there might be something there to that. Again, it's been a little bit since I've walked back and like looked at their VODs, but they seem to lack guidance. They don't know where or what they should be doing, so they're just trying like, okay, we're all gonna go in as 6, just death ball into somebody, or we're just gonna play super passive. I think it's an identity crisis, if anything. Like morale's low, they don't know what to do. Let's just try something.
Look, Spark staff, like the statement that they're at an all-time low, and Joe like being super, like once again interpreting like people's mentals from afar. I'm just like, I'm going to sanitize out myself of these.
Yep.
Of these. Okay. And that's all Joe. Please be very mad at him on Twitter so we can interview you next time around. Thank you.
Yep. I mean, what else do you say to that though? Like, you don't go from doing nothing in Melee to doing everything in Summer Showdown, and there not be like some sort of like weird. It's not right. Something isn't right with this team because they should do well. Look at this roster. This roster should be good. They're not. They're bad. Bad team.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Better than Chengdu?
Yeah.
They almost
Much
lost
better.
to Chengdu. How long ago was that? I guess that was a while ago, eh?
Yeah.
Shouldn't this team look more structured technically with Changjiang coming in?
Should.
Well, we'll leave it at that.
I mean, okay, to his defense, like he could be walking into like a mess, right? Like you can only do so much when you walk into a mess.
Yeah, and
why it's a mess, I don't know.
When he arrived, they also won against Excelsior and played Guangzhou close, and that was
what gave a lot of people hope.
Echo meta, but yeah.
Do you think that Hangzhou right now are the most underperforming team in Overwatch League?
Maybe.
That or Dallas, right?
Dallas is interesting.
I think Dallas is underperforming. Did you have like? I mean, I definitely had expectations, but when you look at like just like bare bones standings, Spark, if memory serves, finished like 4th last season, and now they're barely cracking like mid pack.
Oh yeah,
Glad's definitely
Glad's the right answer. Yeah,
getting Glad's vibes for sure. But
yeah.
It's tough.
I think it's probably between
Glads
those two.
Are still 9th. Like they're still in the top 10.
Sure.
Like how much more can you?
Yeah. I think they're gonna be on the downswing though. I don't think this is.
I agree. I think right now they are underperforming, but like in the snapshot moment. But like if you zoom out to like let's say
I'd agree with
the
that.
standings ended today, which team underperformed the most? I think that's a tough sell for me on Glads.
I think it's probably Spark. If we're gonna do everything, I think they've looked the worst since last season.
The thing is, the Spark actually can farm theoretically Chengdu and London, even though they kind of.
I don't know that they farm London.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that happens, but if I'm looking at the Glads next 5, in their current state, Vancouver is probably the most beatable team of those, and then maybe Dallas at the end, but
Dallas
even those
is a wild
are
card.
just as big question marks. Like,
Yeah.
And the rest is probably unbeatable if they continue. Like, keep in mind they just lost to Justice. There's not much below, even though we maybe have to reevaluate where the Justice are at the moment. But
I don't think so. I think
that's
Defiant,
a whole
and I
other
think Justice.
question
I think
for sure.
Glads. I think all should have like a lack in confidence, like if just like purely analytically. But this is like a big meta shift. Does that meta go away? If so, I think you have to like lessen the blow of the Summer Showdown, right? If Genji goes away, I don't think that the Justice just miraculously have gotten better. I think they have improved, but I think a lot of the big upsets we saw was very meta reliant. So once that meta goes away, normalization should kind of return to an extent, right? Barring any kind of, lack of confidence, mental issues or upsides, right? It maybe the Justice got a bunch of, got a catch of wind in their sails off of the Summer Showdown, beating the Glads, and playing with more confidence and maybe look a little bit better. Possibly. Maybe the Glads look a little worse because they underperformed. Possibly. It's tough to say, but I will say that I think the Summer Showdown is very contextual to what was played, and if that goes away, I think the results are very different.
Yeah, and keep in mind that is true for basically every power ranking. I feel like there's definitely a solid swing due to these metas. I think that same is true for the eventual outcome of that bracket. I think in the majority of metas, Shanghai should still be the best in this region.
Yeah, I think they're still consistently the best team. I think they definitely underperform versus the Charge, but I think that might be more of the Charge overperforming. And that's not to say that the Charge are a bad team, because I think they're very clearly the second best team in Asia. It's kind of analogous to, NA, where it's I think the Shock are still the best team. They didn't win. I think over the course of the season, though, easily the best team. So, Paris and Philly looking good, but I put my money on the Shock
a little longer, right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. If these tournament structures, while they give us, I think, the immediate highs of tournaments every month, and you kind of have this constant stakes going on, there's something about just these elongated, periods of time where they're just matches. When you do get the right matches played at the right frequency between the right teams, you do get a little bit more of a clearer picture of where they just kind of vanilla rank, right? And so bring back 40 game seasons worth nothing, please. Just kidding, it's a joke. Audio listeners, I'm looking right at the camera right now and shaking my head no. Don't worry, we're not calling for that at all.
He's lying. He never did that.
I did that. Go check the tape.
He actually crossed his fingers to say that his confession to be lying was a lie.
Can't wait for Reinforced to be here. Can't wait. All right, let's talk about Guangzhou versus NYXL. And this was, I don't know, for me, this was pretty surprising. And we talked about this on the show even, right? Where I have a huge blind spot in my life for Guangzhou for so many reasons. And I honestly wasn't surprised that Guangzhou won. That was kind of okay, that makes sense. I was surprised that it was a 3-0. Just
that's fair.
A week, 2 weeks after they lost to NYXL, right? 3-1.
I mean, a lot can change.
I
think
understand,
they played
right?
the week before and beat them. So it's, I don't know. I will agree that I think
I have blind spots.
The 3-0 is surprising. No, I agree that the convincingness of this match was surprising. I expected New York to at least take something close. Seemed pretty decisive from my memory. Yeah, I think even the match previous, I think people were oh well, I don't know, New York took them close, and I think that was more of Charge messing up on Anubis and then throwing Gibraltar.
I misremember, by the way, they didn't beat Charge a couple weeks ago.
It is what it is. I don't know. I think if you rewatch the week previous when they played, Charge should have won that a lot closer. And I think voting opposite would be surprising. I don't know. I am still not big on New York right now. they seem to be kind of all over the place. I like the style. I like the creativity that they're showing, just like personally. But in terms of like a vote of confidence, I don't know, man. I think that they're very gatekeepery. They're going to beat the teams they should. And then I don't know. It's a dice roll. And if they beat like equal teams or higher, tough to say.
So
not the New York of old.
Was that just it? I mean, so what about Hacksaw being there? I thought we had a Genji meta, or not?
Yep.
Like we had something where Hacksaw should, on his own, be a great addition to the roster in this time of need.
Yep.
And that did not happen at all. And there wasn't there even points where they were like mirror matching, right? So like it wasn't like Hacksaw was. I don't want to say that. I'm too dumb to say that. You know what I'm trying to say?
I doubt it's Hacksaw.
I agree.
I don't think it's Hacksaw. I think it's, again, this is a roster that was built and has played a very specific way and was built for a very like normal meta. Like if you give them a normal meta, I think that they return to being like a contender, very consistent, good team. I think just characteristically of this roster, they don't have a ton of just like bounce potential. So like they're not mobile in that way where they can kind of just like sub in people out. And Hacksaw kind of showed a little bit of that flexibility with him on Brig, which I thought was kind of interesting. Turns out not to be the best, position for him because of how dominant Genji is. Definitely a good comfort pick to put him on. It does feel it's a bigger picture thing. I don't know what it is. I'd have to actually like fine tooth it, but it's New York as a whole. I don't think it's like just an individual.
Sorry,
I don't think you're gonna slap
I wasn't
in a
trying to slap it in onto.
No. I'm not. It's not you. I think it's a lot of people.
Right.
We'll just assume as much.
And we did even talk about it on the show. I think it was Hacksaw. They came on. When did Hacksaw join? Was that when they 3-0'd the Dynasty? In June?
Possibly.
Was that Hacksaw's first match? Like he came in, and I remember us on the show. We were like super like, holy cow, NYXL immediately looked better with Hacksaw in it. I remember having that conversation with you guys on the show, and then it feels like they just kind of went right back to
looks like one of the early ones was Soul. And yeah, I agree. Like, is it meta contextual? It seems like they should do well in this meta, but I don't know. It's very bizarre. It's, again, a team that looks good on paper. I think Hacksaw does bring a lot to this roster. It could have been a lack of understanding on what to do with Genji. It could have been a lack of understanding on like what or where to put the resources. I still question Onimo. That could be a big hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lack of a strong Brig definitely is going to hurt them.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, wonder if Jonak could be playing the Brig instead. As gross as that sounds, seems like a pretty important pick in the last meta, so that's why you saw Hacksaw on it, but you don't have another Genji player unless you want to put a Who Are You in, and doesn't seem like that's the case. I don't know. Yeah, it's very weird. A lot of weird teams, I think a lot of scrambling rosters to try and figure out what to do with how quickly they have to move from meta to meta. And I hate to just hand wave and go, oh, well, it's hero pools. I think we're starting to see like the knock-on effects of like how quickly teams are being asked to like rotate and say like, okay, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have a passive Genji? Do you have an aggressive Genji? I'm not saying that last meta was a passive Genji. I'm just using it as an example. Do you have a Brig player? Do you have a Brig player and a Flex player? Do you have like it's asking everything at once? These teams weren't built for everything at once.
Okay, I'll present a hypothetical, Joe.
Okay.
Who are you, Genji?
Okay.
Hacksaw Brig.
Should work. on paper should work. I don't know why that isn't an option, but it doesn't seem like an option. Because if it was,
we don't know if that thing will actually be meta after the ammo pack changes, right? Like,
yeah, 100%. Like, again, that's why I'm harping on like contextualizing this in a vacuum, because I think it's going to completely go away. We'll get maybe to that later or on Wednesday, and results should kind of resume as expected. Or just be another completely, maybe you get a big meta peak team, maybe you get a downswing on certain teams you wouldn't expect. Everything kind of has to be contextualized, unless you're just like winning everything or losing everything, or like performing well in most cases, like the Shock, like Paris to a degree, like Shanghai, teams like that. So it's New York's one of those teams that's swing and a miss sometimes.
Well, let's talk more about Guangzhou then instead, and let's just go to the grand finals. Guangzhou versus Shanghai. This was one where again, it's been pretty consistently Shanghai head and shoulders above everybody else, but not on this weekend, right?
Nope.
And Guangzhou won 4-2. What
I think mix. This is one of those ones where there's not like it's not. Oh, they didn't put in lip, guys. Like that's not like that's at this point that's like superstitious. Like, well, they win when you put lip in. Maybe he does something to this roster. Possibly. Hard to tell, right? I would assume as much, because he does have a pretty positive track record when he's in the team, right? I don't think Shanghai played particularly well. I think Charge played very well. I think Charge had a very good meta on their hands. I think Eileen really showed up. I think Eileen's been on the rise for a few weeks now. I think, in a weird way, this is contextual. Again, that's not to say that the Charge are bad, but the Shanghai are just better than them in every single meta. I think this was like one of the better metas for the Charge to do well. They seem to be peaking. They seem to be, it seems to work. The style of play that the meta asks of them seems to be up their alley. It works. Shanghai had some questions around Fearless. Roster, again, seems to be on this like weird rotation. Don't get it. Moon seems to have some sort of weird flow chart. I don't know. I don't get it, but yeah, I don't know. One of the reaches, like I had to do like some yoga poses to figure out like a way to see if the Shanghai were going to lose in the Summer Showdown. And you have to wonder, like, do they throw too many games, throw in quotations, by throwing in some of these more bizarre rosters? I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Shanghai, it seems to work for them. I wonder if it continues, but yeah, I don't know. Charge, good team, second best in Asia, good meta. I don't think that takes away much from Shanghai, though. I think Shanghai will continue to do well. I think next meta they'll again be the top team, or at least should be. Yeah, probably still the best team in Asia.
How many matches or like end of bracket matches does Shanghai need to lose before you start to lose faith in them?
I think if like next month, if they drop a game and then don't win the Countdown Cup, I think it's what next month is? Yeah, the Countdown Cup. If they don't win and drop like a regular like qualifying game, I think then it's time to like move them down and like, okay, now you're second and somebody else is first. Unless it's like a team like the Spark. Like if the Spark just shoot up and like beat them in the regular season and then beat them in the tournament, what do you even do at that point? Like you've got to like reach for a bunch of just stuff that you kind of, there's no good answer there, because it's like you could give it to the Charge, depending on how the Charge play. You could give it to the Spark. I wouldn't, but I think you probably could. And then you could still give it to Shanghai. Over the course of the season, probably still the best team. Probably not placing two below whoever upsets them in the Countdown Cup, if that's even a thing. So yeah, it's there would have to be like a big drop off. Like they're gonna have to lose some like very winnable games. Like they get like beaten by Chengdu, then it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like something's wrong. They have to get upset, I think, is the way that they move down, which probably won't happen.
I think that's fair. Yiska, do you feel about the same?
Yeah. It's weird. There's also theoretically they have a bunch of bench players that they have not sourced yet, right? And
which team?
NYXL.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that? Not sorry, I had a second screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were asking about
Charger Dragons, which do have bench
we were
players. You
talking
could be
about
referring
Charge
to
versus Dragons. We were talking about with Shanghai not closing out this one. Joe had said he feels very strongly that this doesn't really affect Shanghai's position overall. And I basically asked him, what would it take to affect Shanghai's position as being kind of above by quite a bit these other teams right now?
Well, continued lack of performance, and I don't think we will see that. It's like you don't topple. That's why we never really thought of Shock not winning the final as a sort of statement of non-dominance. Like getting far is still like this game. We have not had a team that just wins every single final in this esport, right?
Oh.
Like even at the height of their dominance, Shock was still beaten in the finals by a curveball throwing Shanghai Dragons. Yep. So in the context of that, dominance is just different in Overwatch, especially under hero pools, where it's so much harder to stay consistent. Yep. So I don't think, unless that's the one way where it's how it's possible to topple Shanghai, other than them dropping off a cliff, which I don't think will happen. The big thing would be for the Charge to stay consistently this good across many metas. And I will also say I'm surprised that Charge's peak performance came with the worst in the meta that it did. If you had asked me, let's say 2 months ago, or had told me, okay, so the Charge are going to win a stage final, I'm like, oh yeah, so Neptuno and Nero are back, and for Eileen to step up. By the way, baller name, the Spear of Summer. I don't care if you guys think it's cringy. I think it's dope as hell. And for also Chara to develop into the break that he is.
Yeah, looked good.
Was pretty unforeseeable. And as such, like the team are like, this is just also happy, coming hotter. Like we pretty much thought of him as a Widow one trick coming into the season, right? And like, yeah, he has shown some variety in that. So if the Charge actually have found a way to groove through this, and also then to incorporate maybe their Western players into that roster to stay consistent through a multitude of these meta positions. And if Krong can stay as nuts as he is, because for my money, he's still the most effective and best aggressive Sigma there is in the league, then yeah, this team, and let's be honest, for some weird reason, the random number generator will never pick Sigma. It's hilarious how often he dodged it. In general, these picks were like so low probability picks were chosen, right? It's weird. Yeah. But it's I think that is the one storyline where I could see, okay, maybe hopefully this also develops into away from a monotheistic scene and actually develops like two god teams now. Because in many ways it was Shanghai, then everyone else, then London and Chengdu. Now it seems more like they layered the cake.
It's a little closer.
Yeah. And if anyone's wondering in the layered cake, I would say Chengdu is the garlic.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much the garlic in the cake. Shouldn't be there. Like the jalapeno Pringles as well.
True.
Very, very, very apt. Well done. Who is the strange garlicky buttercream frosting? Emphasis on the butter.
The buttercream frosting?
Yeah, garlic buttercream cheesecake frosting.
That gotta be the NYXL, right? Like, because frosting is not bad.
No.
But like, there's something strange about them. Where you're like, why would you do that
Weird
to frosting, dude?
Pungent taste.
Like, why would you ever do that to frosting? Frosting is like the thing where, as a kid, just go to grandma. Can I have the pot with the frosting? And you just go, Imagine if your grandma put garlic in there.
Yep.
Imagine if your
spoon and it's just coated in garlic cloves.
Imagine if your grandma delivered a team as badly performing as the NYXL with the ingredients she had. You'd be mad at her. So
maybe it's the Spark though in that same way, because it's like you expect like a good team. You're like, yay, sweet frosting, got kind of buttercreamy. It's you expect something and then you get garlic instead. It's completely like, ugh, what is this? Like, I don't want that. Why is there habanero Pringles in my cake? Why is it?
I also think this
the
is
Russian flag?
This is very apt because I don't think that we Overwatch League it was a cake to begin with. It's like the new thing right now, right? Where it's like, actually,
true.
it's cake. It's like,
this is
Overwatch
look at my new
League?
laptop. It's a cake, actually.
Cake.
Haha. The one with the
cake,
dog
little-
like kind of creeps me out.
I've
There's one
seen
with like a
some weird
bulldog,
ones, man.
and then
yeah.
like cut it and it's a cake, and I'm like, I don't like that. It's
I've seen.
unsettling.
I think I saw one where it was like a hand, and they just like cut the
yeah.
finger. I haven't seen that one for sure. Man, there's some weird ones out there. Get me
I don't
get
hate
me
the
out
trend,
of 2020. That was my like that's enough of 2020 moment.
I can't wait until Sunday when this meme's already dead.
Yeah, like
I think
St. Louis
it's
style food.
the fact that we're talking about it and know about it means that it probably already is dead.
It is already dead.
Yeah, it's
yes.
already gone. So,
After us, it's just the Facebook posts, and then it's all gone.
Facebook post, then Facebook video, then gone.
Oh, like the Facebook stories or whatever.
Well, like, have you seen, like,
that a thing?
Facebook has, like, a whole video section now. Like, they've got, like, their own little YouTube. But it's all just, like...
Is it better than Twitch player?
I mean,
It's
the
better
play-
than Twitter player.
The player works
True.
great. It's not
Okay.
a representative of the player itself, but the content on it is so old. It's mainly, like, old America's Got Talent and X Factor clips.
Kind of makes me wonder who's still using MySpace.
Does that
Does MySpace
exist?
still exist?
I believe it does.
It's kind of weird.
We're going to check right now.
I got
Regardless.
upset realizing that only like 2 years ago or so, I forgot my ICQ number, and it was very low, and I will never get it back.
What's that?
Oh no! Oh no, Chad! I don't know what that is. Oh no, I'm surrounded by Somas who don't know what ICQ is. Does
Well, I know
anyone
what
know in
ICQ
chat what
is.
ICQ is?
I know what ICQ is.
No idea. Couldn't tell you.
I didn't use it extensively. It was slightly a little bit before my time, but
What was it?
it was right on the cusp.
Was it that
ICQ.
five-digit ICQ number? I think it started with 120 and then something.
I can't even remember.
But yeah, ICQ was basically before MSM.
AOL? Oh, okay.
I was an MSN
Yeah, I don't think this was-
instant messenger, baby.
I've never heard
For
this,
sure.
like, ever.
Used to play
Damn.
that Minesweeper game with girls in my grade in middle school. Floored it up and wreck them in Minesweeper at the same time.
Nice.
What was it? Oh, on MSM, I played Minesweeper competitive against
Oh
a.
my god! Of course you would.
Okay, there's a guy called Moldrin, and Moldrin used to be a warrior, like European champion in World of Warcraft,
Mm-hmm.
and he later became this Diablo slash triathlon YouTuber. Pretty big, actually. Pretty big name in the gaming community. Then took some time to finish his masters. But I remember we used to play against each other, and there was like a lot of the time in Minesweeper competitive, there's like a 50-50 chance on the probabilities. And for some weird reason, my brain had like understood what the patterns were in which the MSM Minesweeper would put around the bombs. And my hit rate for these 50-50s were like upwards of 80%. I couldn't tell you actively what I recognized, but after like probably 200 hours of this game, I somehow understood, like just like visually looking at the pattern, sort of like when you are in Diablo and you're doing like runs and there's procedurally generated maps. It's just like, wait, there's this pattern. That means the exit is here, right? That used to be the case in Diablo 2 anyway.
Yeah, it was.
And this guy used to be so upset at me for getting the pattern repeatedly right, because I never told him there was a pattern. He just thought I was stupidly lucky.
Exactly. And that is the elevator explanation from a German on what luck is.
No, it's pattern recognition.
No,
and
no pattern. That's your brain trying to justify something that is injustifiable.
No, I'm pretty sure.
You didn't see anything.
Ooh.
You're just lucky.
Ooh.
Are you the Reddit commenter that says
the
I can't
luckier he gets,
predict
the
the
more
games?
sure he is that he knows something he doesn't. I like this.
Unless
Joe
you've
is
got
the
scrim
YouTube
results.
Joe is the YouTube comment guy that tells me I can't predict stuff.
Unless you've got scrim results from 100,000 different competitive MSN Minecraft games or Minesweeper games, whatever the heck you confangled kids are playing these days, I'm gonna say that's a load of shit.
See, Muldrin.
Here's the thing: is we could never fact check him anyway, so we just have to take him at his word.
Exactly.
It's not like he kept us stats.
I'm sure Muldrin would.
His word is colorful. I believe you won these games. I just don't really care for the explanation. I just think you were a little lucky. You were just very lucky.
All right,
should have played the lottery. You wouldn't be here.
Krong, Rookie of the Year.
Good candidate. Sleeper candidate.
If he keeps going,
now that
maybe.
now that they've got a monthly tournament under their belt. You like that segue, by the way, chat? It's called just sometimes don't even segue. You just go. I like to give Yiska a little bit of whiplash. Sometimes his brain like literally splits in two, and it's fun to watch. So, so Krong.
I think Krong on the ballot. I think he's got to be. I don't think he'll win. And it's not for lack of skill. It's because at some point it's a popularity contest. And I think Flex Tank is criminally still in Overwatch's 4th, 5th year, depending on when you joined. If it was just in the Overwatch League, we're on year 3. Still very, very underrated. Not something that gets a lot of love. Kind of quietly forgotten, but definitely a cornerstone of each team. You don't normally have a bad off tank on a good team. Usually a good indicator of how decent a team is doing is their flex tank, off tank, whatever you want to call them, performing or doing well, or are they good? Yeah, I think Krong has to be on that ballot. I don't think he's going to win, though.
At some point, we got to have the discussion how Korean players, for some inexplicable reason, have the absolute best names ever in esports.
So good. It's dumb.
It's actually nuts. Like, reliably, just like, who comes up
What do you like
with
about Krong?
just, I mean, the zero we can talk about, but the sound is just like...
It looks like a ring to me.
What?
The zero kind of reminds me of like a ring. And I know you're just
okay, now you're
over the moon.
Oh, come on. See, this is there I see the minefield pattern that you try to drag me in.
Yes.
But yeah, Krong is a nuts name. Honestly, Gesture is a pretty nuts name.
Yeah.
If you think of the StarCraft players of old, even like 1J Lee, even though that's literally his name is sick. Then what's it? Savior is a nice name.
The name is nice, yes. You want to hear a piece of trivia?
There you go. Let's go.
What was Gesture's name in League of Legends? Answer, Corn. His
Really?
name was Corn. Yes.
Maybe that's what
Played
Kron was going
professionally.
for. Thought he was
Maybe.
spelling corn.
Maybe. Yep. Played for a Japanese team. 2016 to 2017.
What's Crown? Like seemingly, I don't know
Crown?
why,
Yeah.
but Crown is also a sick name.
Sick. Yeah. I like Faker.
Faker is
sick.
nice. Yeah.
Oh, who
Mad
was?
Life, dude.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Koreans got a lot of. They know how to pick them. They got some good ones. The U.S. on the other hand, not so much. Not so much.
No, for
A lot
the
of
US, it's
cringy
like,
foreign
Let's
titles.
power. We should
Rob-
do a power ranking names in America and in Asia.
Yeah, we'd lose. The West would lose.
Yeah.
The West would lose.
So who's got the best in the United States? Moth is kind of cool.
I don't know. I don't know what. Like maybe it's also who comes up with the name because the expectation of finding like a word is different.
Space.
Who is it cool?
I think this would. Space isn't bad. Space is not bad at all.
Yeah.
Rob Dab
Yeah,
420.
I think
Shout.
Chat gets it. Chat's is like Rob Dab and
Cool Man
what were some other-
69.
Yeah, Cool
Cool
Man
Man.
69.
Yeah.
It's not like something. It's not like a band name where it's like the cliche like naming system around like naming a band is like you have to like be able to hear it being announced on stage. And it's like now entering the arena, Cool Matt 69, and the crowd goes. No, it's just kind of lame. But if you say Faker, if you say Flash, granted, I think those names carry a lot of weight to them. But even if you don't understand it, you're like, oh, it's just like that. It's punchy. It's just one syllable.
I think Cruise is kind of cool.
Not bad. Not bad. I like it.
Super is pretty cool.
Yeah, a little underwhelming, but not bad. I don't hate it.
Thoughts on Numlocked?
If it's long, but I don't dislike it. Like I
actually really like Showfall.
I like it. It doesn't mean something. You can kind of place your own meaning on it as the individual. I like that a lot. It's not just like a name or it's not just like a noun. Yeah. Creativity there. Like you put some thought into it. Less good. Less good. I think a lot of European names probably come from like a word in another language that I just don't like get.
Yeah, there's just not nearly
maybe.
as good like names.
Even like looking like let me throw some like CS names at him. Just go like Forest. Not bad. I like Forest.
Get Right is also sort of weird.
Get Right.
Isn't it?
It's not. Again, like I
Kenny
associate
S.
that with weight, but like in John's brain, like what is somebody who like, and again, like maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you know who these people are, but like, what do you think of these names? Granted, I don't know why we're on names right now, but we are.
Because we can.
The interesting thing is like, you know which pro player actually brought me to esports? And that's a name nobody will remember. I'm sure nobody in chat will remember. But there was a German ARPA, very like must have been like literally like 1.1, 1.3. And his name was Johnny R. And he was a legend in the scene. Like he was an absolutely sick ARPer. And Johnny R, I'm pretty sure Johnny R is basically the name theme for Kenny S, if you think about it. And yeah, I remember running across the school, and when anything good happened, I screamed out that I felt like Johnny R in the EPS or whatever, in the ESL Pro Series. This is how cringy I was. But yeah. Like some names, for instance, Flash doesn't strike me particularly well, mainly because that was my first nickname. with a dollar sign as an S.
Oh no!
It's
different time.
It's really interesting. Like I wish that we could do. I would want to do like a blind study where you see somebody's name and then you have to guess how good you think they are at the game based on their name.
Oh yeah, it's gonna. There's
Because
so many like
Johnny R, like for me, like marketing, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like what do I want to see on merch? What do I think would sell on a jersey? Blah blah blah. I'm like Johnny R, and like no, it's a bad name. It's Johnny Rockets. And go down to Johnny Rockets down there, get a milkshake. Like no, that's no. But like because they are so like I think Dr. Disrespect is a really dumb name.
It is. Yeah.
But like you don't need a perfect Tim the Tap Man is probably even worse. But it's like at some point you hit this point where it becomes so ubiquitous that it's again like you can never rebrand that, you can never change that, and it's the best name in the world. He's not even
also really
doctor.
like Mendo, by the way, Mendoxe, and nobody actually pronounced it that way.
No.
Everyone was like Mendo Kusai.
How weeb.
And now Mendo sounds awesome.
I like Mendo.
Yeah.
But
why do you think Mendo Kusai is spelled the other way?
No, Mendoxe, which isn't it like, okay, here's your Japanese class. Isn't that just troublesome and like what it means? I don't just
have
sure.
Based on how it's spelled in the if they're spelling it using Romanji, it would be spelled with the way that I've seen it spell. It's pronounced Mendo Kusai. Saii would be.
I think it's just the accent that you put on that changes it a little bit. But yes,
but I have to look at I haven't looked at like the katakana or.
Yeah, I really realistically only knew it from FMA, where like one of the characters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have like all these different like deadly sins, these monsters that are named after him, and one of them is Sloth, and he says nothing else.
Oh, see, I associate that with like Shikamaru from Naruto, because that's his catchphrase.
Oh yeah, true.
Everything's troublesome. Mendokusai.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but nicknames are actually really. That's always why I hated that we wanted to standardize capitalization, because in a sense, I feel like that really adds to the flair of a name. Like Scream, for instance. Take the name Scream without the capital M. It just sounds like, oh yeah, that kid looked at like.
Yeah, there's a flair to
movie.
It. Yeah.
Like SOS. If you don't have those capital O, I think it looks very different. Just aesthetically pleasing. Linksa looks a lot better when you capitalize the letters that Linksa does.
Yeah, but then you get like Team Envious, like pre-rebrand, and that was just
lowercase
from a bygone era.
Capital V as a short
like
clan
every
tag,
other.
I really liked it.
I like the clan tag. I think you could keep the clan tag personalized, but capital E, lowercase N, every other capital, it just looks
okay.
amateurish.
Yeah. No,
I'm glad it's just Team Envy now, and it's like, nice. Neat. Doesn't have the same flair, but
I would have honestly liked to stay with esports capital S. It just felt better at the time. But now I'm
hot take.
Like lowercase e capital S or capital E capital S?
No, lowercase e capital S.
I wouldn't have thrown any bows if that's the way it was or stayed. But
so it's not a hyphen.
I mean, it was so at the time that was decided. I felt like iPad, iPhone. That was sort of like already entering our
e-commerce was already like E. It was like the E was just like it's the lowercase electronic version of whatever you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think that there's at least logical things there. I want to go back to one more thing because we got to get out here really soon. It's getting long. Yiska, you posted the twit longer from Surefour.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it today, or you want to hold it till Monday?
How much long do we have?
How long do you think it's going to take?
5 to 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, we got time.
Okay.
That actually means 20 to 30, chat. So just so you know, we're going to be here for a
German
while
Standard
longer.
Time.
True.
Sure4 posted a twit longer about effective HP.
Yeah.
Lay it on us. Lay it
So
on us. Break it down
basically,
for us, Yiska.
the idea, and I don't remember if he brought it up, but basically the idea is that effective HP is the HP that you can expect to gain over, or like the actual health or damage you need to deal in order for someone to die. And while AoE healing and direct healing is going out, the effective healing goes up. Now, the specific part I think that wasn't talked about was armor, I think, which has a very big contribution towards effective HP, how it works in Overwatch as well. Because it acts as a buffer so well. So like just brick pags really increased effective HP, because not only does it require you to kill more, it also in that way allows, for instance, breaking points of healing to come in. So let's say you needed, and that's not an accurate, like I don't know the numbers how they pan out, but let's say you needed 3 swings with Genji to kill someone, and now with an armor pack you need 4. That means the Ana can probably get at least 1 more shot in, and possibly 2, but depending on her breaking points. So with all that massive healing and flying around, only burst DPS really makes sense. Because like I asked Eden, and if people are interested, like he sent me the link once again. He had an article which basically almost academically outlines the effective damage theory. Now, if you think about it, just doing a lot of damage in Overwatch doesn't actually get to accomplish much unless you kill someone or you alter their behavior and suppress them in some way. So if you deal damage, you don't kill him, but this person cannot go on dealing full damage, but has to retreat and gain life. You gained a minor advantage in that, right? If he can just DPS through it and you don't alter his behavior whatsoever, and he's just stomping on you, it virtually doesn't matter if you have a soldier firing a Genji, for instance, if he's being constantly buffed, and the time resources that the supports would have taken otherwise would have just been idle, for instance, right? So the conclusion that Schauffer drew, and I hope I do it justice, is basically that because effective HP went through the roof pretty much, with new healers coming in, and if especially like I thought he drew a very interesting contrast from early Overwatch, which was with what did we start? Mercy. We started with Lucio. We started with what's the last support? Zen, right? Yep. Those were pretty low healing supports, or like in terms of raw healing numbers or effective healing numbers, right? Then you add healers like for instance, Baptiste is the worst at this because Bab is like a completely different dimension to effective health. You're saying like sometimes your high HPS matters, but sometimes when you have drone, we're now entering a new dimension where the effective damage of your drone therefore then also helps destroy certain breaking points of damage, and if timed well and whatnot, right? For instance, for I don't know, like another cooldown to come up. And if we're looking at the effective healing supports, like the supports that are currently being played, we are running pretty high healing overall. We're not running like at certain points we were running like the basically the healing bot Moira for a good chunk of time. So how do you actually kill people? Well, you gotta burst. You cannot like feasibly out sustain, because what happens, let's say damage dealers as like soldier deal just like 10 HP 10 damage more per second than the healers deal. Even in that case, think of how long it takes for a 200 HP target to drop. That's 20 seconds it takes. So what do? The soldier then just is minorly suppressed, really isn't that hard much, and or the target of the soldier, my bad, and can just do whatever the target wants and then retreats briefly, gets like brought up to full once again, or gets droned or whatever. So like if your effective damage is only that much higher, no, just a tiny bit over the effective feeling, then fights are really drawn out, and it comes down to many different decisions over a length of time, right? Like whoever makes the most good decisions eventually will get the upper hand. If it all is about burst damage and high, like then it's you make one tiny mistake and that can kill your entire team, right? And that is arguably not a satisfying state of affairs, is what is argued. Or even if you don't want to make a value judgment, most definitely shape the way the game feels in terms of the pacing, in terms of like what you're doing as a damage dealer, in terms of what you're doing as a support. So I thought that was a very, very good observation. And for some clarity, I would maybe I'll edit in the YouTube comments. We'll put it on the like Eden's framing of the issue, because he made a very good academic case, and I remember a lot of people that were also involved in stats to really have liked it.
So yeah, if you're interested, check out the YouTube comments.
Boom.
So,
what do you want?
Do you think this is a problem, Joe?
Yeah, I would say so. I think as you're kind of explaining it, I would reframe it a lot of the same ways that like card games reframe things, where like you reword the text to what it actually does, right? Instead of like the jargon of like, oh, draw X amount of cards that have, this color or whatever. Just saying that Immortality Field can give X amount of people 200 health or infinite health, if you want to even reword it that way. Or saying armor, just gives you an extra 150 health. Like, then it helps to kind of like take it stepping back to like really understand like why it's kind of annoying, or like why it's like busted, on top of like all the healing that we're doing. So like, yeah, I think it's a massive problem. I also think that like the shields are like a massive problem as well. Like, I think the idea of suppression probably is correlated to like shields in general. And I don't think anybody in this game like enjoys shooting shields. So it's that balancing act between like MOBA, FPS. What do they want it to be? They don't know. So here we are. We have a Mortality Field. We have armor. We have shields. That's Overwatch. I don't know. It's not a bad thing. It just is, right?
Yeah. And I feel like there's definitely similarities to how that went. Like, I feel like we had a very, very similar issue in Arena for a long time, where matches, like, you could have very bursty comps that almost ended arenas every single time under 5 minutes.
Yeah, the ones that you played, right?
Yeah,
Mister?
like
the Prop Paladin ones that you shame me constantly for being aggressive, and you're just a little cheese lord. Okay, well, continue.
I definitely
little context for the chat
as a match, but so there was always like a case where there were like super bursty comps that felt cheap. Then there were medium comps that really required a lot of setup and really a lot of cooldown knowledge and like understanding which cooldowns to draw out, when, how, when, and where. And those were like, the Rogue Mage Priest comps. They were generally considered
very
like
control-y, very slow, very NYXL like, to kind of bring it back to Overwatch.
But they also had bursts, but they had to well coordinate bursts with cooldowns and everything. So it was generally considered pretty skilled. It's usually when a melee, a spellcaster, and a healer came together. And there were exceptions, because I think for a while, like Warlock, Warrior,
Shaman,
Druid back in the day, were like super strong, and the only real win condition was like an RNG thing, which was called either Mace Stun or like a Mace Stun was stupid, but and then there were the matches where people played double healer hunter, where it was all about mana draining. Those were lame. Then there were spellcaster duels that went 45 minutes, and whoever did more damage won. That was complete snooze fest. And I feel like we're also like, we currently like we're accelerating towards a point where the damage numbers can no longer keep up. And at some point, we got a stat squish in some way. Where it's
Overwatch
like,
2. Sorry, what?
yeah,
I don't think so.
Like
I hope, but
like you want to make more and more exciting characters, right? That's like you want to introduce new heroes that you knew different things, and as you stack those utilities, and let's be honest, almost every single new character, or the more recent the new character, the more of a, like a Swiss Army knife they become. So damage numbers go up, healing numbers go up. You have like immortality fields flying around stuff. Yeah. So at some point we got to normalize again, and maybe look at the big word, qualia of what it was like, the feeling, the suchness, if you want, of what Overwatch felt like when we first launched, and try to design to that, because that was the critically acclaimed game that we all learned to love in 2016. And I'm not even saying I'm not having fun with the current meta game, because I pretty much enjoyed Genji and whatnot. Yeah. But I definitely can see how it feels less satisfying, especially for like top tier players, where it's like there's 3 big decisions that determine a fight instead of 30 different smaller decisions that cumulatively just come up with a better decisions maker over a more like less gambly duration.
I think the biggest game that supports that, I feel like, is probably Shock Philly before the playoffs of last week, right? Shock Philly, Ons just like punishes you for not playing an airtight game. If you don't have an airtight game and somebody's popping that hard, you just die. There's not amount of effective health, this, that, the other thing. You just lose. There's very little going on in it. You peek once, you die. Fight's over. Next. You peek once, you die. Fight over. Next. Yeah. Not a ton of nuance to it. It's just in the most like elevator explanation, you clicked heads. That's what won you the game. And like this, unless Blizzard wants that to be this game, okay, that's fine. But it doesn't seem that way based on like the design philosophy that we've gotten so far. So it is. I agree in the short term.
And it's also challenging because you're not just balancing against the real state of affairs of balance. You're also balancing against player skill.
Sure.
And it's very possible that the way we played Overwatch, if we got our hands on it with the core concepts that we learned over the last 3 or 4 years, that this game would also be very like a lot quicker based on that. But
much less messy.
Yeah, that's why you got to focus on the experience of what the vast majority of people enjoyed and described Overwatch as, and really look back at how it feels to play play Overwatch in 2016, and then try to design around that in a way. Because I think like if this game wants to come back, it probably has to find that sweet spot again. It's not like this game is objectively like gotten worse or anything. It's always contextual to the player base you have and to the like average player skill or like the concepts that are flying around at all levels that you then have to design around. And unfortunately, sometimes they're realistically like games who just break at the top of skill eventually. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like, and then you also get so far away from new players, like you almost don't enjoy getting into like any of these super complex games, right? I don't know, like Dota has been pretty daunting. Like
I think for all the slack that it gets or hate that it gets, I think League definitely has kind of been the exception to that rule, where it is just like ever changing, new characters, new map. Or change the map rather, change to like the nuance of the map, and it seems to continue to do well, and like it seems daunting, but like it's very accessible for ways kind of unseen. So I don't know if like that could be an interesting case study to like simplify the game in a way, and then make it accessible, make it very accessible for somebody to jump in and be like, here you go, this is the thing you do, go do it. And that's kind of like been my idealistic world of Overwatch, where it's just like, let's just simplify everything down, not all these game modes, not all these, different just simplifying it, giving it some structure, so it isn't just like, well, what's this map? I've never played this map. Like, what is this game mode? Like, what are the rules here? Like, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing. Like, I just want to kill. I just want to shoot people. And most of the time, you're not shooting people. You're shooting shields and other things. But neither here nor there.
Yeah, and it's like there's daunting experiences, right? Like I just talked with coworkers about the fact that I've never been to Starbucks, and the reason for that is very easy. Yeah. I don't want to feel stupid.
Yep.
I don't want to be told one big coffee, please, and then they say, "Oh yeah, okay."
We don't have those here.
Then I got to learn the vocabulary of everything and like. Of course, that in essence, it's absolutely my fault for being a wussy about it and not like just falling into it and wanting to be make mistakes, because it's coffee and they invented some words and it really doesn't matter ultimately, and I really should get it and then decide that it's probably overpriced garbage. But the underlying thing is, like, this is, for the vast majority of people, this is entertainment, and they want to be felt special and or entertained, and not have to climb the hurdle of, like, getting over it and having to learn all these core concepts and being screamed at while doing so, and also being confronted with all the other reasons for toxicity in Overwatch.
Sure.
And that's why it's not even just that new games have an appeal because of novelty. It is because everyone starts at zero and just has this feeling of like, okay, we're starting from zero and we're all learning, even if there are like super cracks down the like. That was the best part about this revamp of Reign of Chaos coming out, because I can tell you, we tried the old Warcraft 3 game mode, and every single game we came in, we would have lost if this one player, the opponent that we got, would have controlled 3 armies at once. We would have lost every 3v3 because they were just so cracked, right? Now it's like a lot more newer players. The matchmaking is more enjoyable. Like the core concepts that we remembered kind of translated. We could learn at the speed with everyone else. Nothing was too overwhelming. And like, if you look at the character designs, like, screw a Mercy hater, dude. Like, that hero is very healthy for a competitive title.
Yes, you need those heroes. I think maybe the abilities could be drawn into question, but I think the heroes that are like very eloquently simple. Your Garens, right? For League of Legends fans. Your snipers for Dota. Just simple.
Also, none of you who throw a hissy fit is as good as Yveltal at that hero. No. 0 people that bemoan that hero are as good.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Annie, another one for League of Legends fans. Again, you can climb to GM if you want. You can get to the top. Here's the ladder. You don't want to do it though. Big philosophical discussion that I have with a lot of people. It's just like, you know what you have to do. You just don't want to do it because it's fun to do other things. But it's completely against what you're telling me. You're telling me you want to get better. This is how I think you should get better. Again, opinion, but regardless. Yeah. Very simple things are good.
Yep.
We got there.
I called it though, by the way.
Was it 30 minutes?
18 minutes.
Hey, yeah, it's not too bad.
Yiska said
Not
5 to
20.
10.
Yeah.
It's true.
18-20.
Here we are. End of the show.
Chat, thanks for hanging out. Oh man, I'm so
Deep breath.
sore and angry. No, I'm just sore. Constantly in a state of anxiety. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. Big thank you to our patron producers: Battle Crab Pin, Lulshin, Charlie L, Audio Compass, Porkchop, Sammy, Kasha67, Coochie Kopi, Sharp, Picasso, Nathan Your Misery, Hunter Tane, Refai Bean, Rex Zane, Roger B, Fabled Steven, Owen, Chris R3444. Yiska is holding me hostage. Please send help. I'm under Yiska's desk. Please send help. Yiska says, Fisher's Fritch of fish of fish of fish.
We're just gonna purposely get. Should we make that a running gag, or we just mispronounce the tongue twister?
No worries. I'll teach John until the next podcast the Wim Hof method of like
Fisher. Right.
You know, there's this guy that basically hyperventilates and claims to get health benefits out of it by.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there's apparently some scientific research. I never looked into the legitimacy of that. Long story short, there's a guy that loves to jump into ice cold water and climb high mountains without gear. So there probably is something to it. And it would probably help you to just hyperventilate before you start talking. So you get through it and then fall unconscious.
Oh. I know that there's some people who induce hyperventilation. I saw this was on Reddit this last week, but the guy in Mission Impossible, the most recent one, where the guy is they're about to go underwater and he's about to have his thing capsize, and so he's got a little bit of time to get oxygen left. He forces himself to hyperventilate before he goes underwater so he can get the maximum lung expansion possible.
Yeah,
it was one of those. I think movie details is one of the subreddits. Say
study up. You will need it for next time.
We'll see, man. I don't know. I think that one of these patron producers is a duplicate of another patron producer who just for 1 month is doing it twice. So I don't think that these are staying around for long. But appreciate it.
We enjoy the commitment to the joke.
We enjoy the commitment to the joke. If you like the show, want to support, go to patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. Thank you to our newest patron. Yiska says, Fishers, Fritcha, Fished, Frisha, Fish. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Patreon.com/tacticalcrouch. We got some new subs, Yiska, don't we?
We do. Can I get them in one breath? Let's see, because I always... Okay. Wait, what?
Make sure you're on the right episode.
Yeah, I am, but the 5 gifted are not from Filament, right?
Oh, they are.
Really? Did I look wrong? Wait,
I'm thinking so.
We had 2 people gift 5 subs.
That's why. Okay, so thanks for the 5. Fire Element, friend of the show, also visitor of the game nights, rap god himself, and appearing Cloud9, which didn't see 9 from this payload, so thank you very much.
It's true. Thank you.
Got the jeez, Yiska. Man, I love you. I love you so much. I don't know what my week would be without your impeccable sense of humor.
Probably sane. Probably sane. Look, we all know this isn't my sense of humor. It's just whatever my filter allows to seep through. So we can all still have jobs sense of humor after this.
True. No, that's true. I think that's mostly true. That's fair. No new 5-star iTunes reviews this week, but if you want to support the show, there's 2 great ways to do it for free. Watch the show live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon, or that's twitch.tv/Kickedtripod, or leave a 5-star iTunes review on iTunes in whatever country you're in, and we will thank you on the show. Other than that, Joe, shout out for the week. Where can people find you?
You can find me on all the socials at the usual place. That's at Volamel, Volamel. This week going to be very Valorant focused. News on that incoming, and then just kind of chilling, big chilling. Watches Valorant. Excited to get back into some Overwatch League stuff. And enjoying rediscovering my inner weeb. So, if you have any anime recommendations, holla at your boy.
Word up. All right, Yiska, what about you, man? Shout out to the week. Where can people find you?
I hope I have a dope feature. It's like high effort. I don't know if I can get to it this week. It also is not entirely on me. We'll see. We'll talk about a special person and put a little bit of effort into the research and whatnot, and into the dimensions this piece will take, because I think that person is worth it. Other than that, a lot of Valorant content also from me this week. I also like. It all depends how my time management goes this week, but hopefully also a preview piece on Friday. And then fingers crossed. I hope that Valorant on Wednesday goes very, very quick. So maybe I can jump on, and we got to talk about it if it's worth, like if you're half an hour in or an hour in, if it's worth for me to just jump in, if that's doable.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll have the stuff ready. Cool. As for me, you can find me everywhere at Kickedtripod, Twitch, Twitter, and youtube.com/John Horstman right now, but it's going to be changing over to Kickedtripod here soon. Yep, that's going to do it for us, chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Hope you had fun. We will see you on Wednesday for our preview episode with Reinforce. Until then, be good. Wear a mask if you can. Bye.